Hello everyone, I'm Sandy Anastasi, psychic channel, intuitive astrologer, and soul coach. And I'm here with my psychic protection tip number 57. This psychic protection tip is for you. It's for young children and for any new endeavor that you are beginning. It's about when to use and set boundaries versus actual protection. The greatest time of vulnerability for all of us is always at the beginning of anything. For that reason, it's important to protect new projects, new relationships, newly born and young children. Wow. Protect, in fact, anything new in your life right from the start. But overprotection can squash. It can squash. So be very careful of overprotecting anything. It's actually best to form firm boundaries, set boundaries, that will allow any new entity to be safe while growing and developing. And that's going to allow that new being or new creation to experience what it needs in order to grow into what you wish it to be. Nothing can grow. Remember that if it's squashed, and overprotecting something, unfortunately, can squash it. So you want to set boundaries, not overprotect. Along the way, you and your new creation can learn where that creation needs actual physical and psychic protection versus where just good, plain old ordinary boundaries can do a better job. For example, I've seen many overprotective parents who squashed their children's creativity and independence and eventually created rebellious and troubled children by overprotecting them. One example is a mom who wouldn't let her young son socialize with other children after school because she was afraid that outside of her direct control, he'd develop a friendship with another boy who would lead him into trouble. So she carefully handpicked his friends and had play dates at her home. She felt secure and believed that she was protecting him. But, in that overprotected environment, he didn't learn about people. And he didn't learn that some people are not to be trusted. He didn't even learn to exercise his own right to choose who he liked and who he didn't. Predictably, that resulted in her son actually seeking out a friend that his mom frowned upon and getting into the very trouble she had feared. Better, she'd set rules that established boundaries but left him the freedom to choose and to grow within those boundaries. The message here is that when we overprotect something or someone, we prevent it, or at least inhibit its growth and development. So this psychic protection tip is about being able to set boundaries that are going to foster growth and the development of psychic protection and other positive behaviors and abilities. You see, setting boundaries is an absolute necessity psychically. Here's another real-life example. A young woman brought her loving, trusting, innocent, and psychically open little girl into a store that I frequent. The baby exuded unconditional love. In fact, she was so happy and giggly, everyone wanted to hold her. Employees, other customers, everybody gathered around this little one. Each one had to have a turn holding this loving little girl. And of course, the mom was so thrilled to have her daughter honored in this way, she just let the little girl be passed around. Well, the little one began to become red and teary. Still, the mom passed her around as more people and more people wanted to hold her. And by the time she left, the child had become nearly hysterical. I later learned that by the next day, this poor little girl, this little baby, was sick and had to be brought to the doctor. Because, you see, she had no boundaries, which is why she felt so good to everyone who was holding her. But without those boundaries, she couldn't protect herself from sickness. So, boundaries. The unspoken message here is that this mom gave her empathic little girl a message that she had to allow all others to drain off her energy or dump their excess energy on her. She had to open to all people and could not say no. Mom didn't set boundaries, so the little girl was being essentially told that she didn't have the right to set boundaries herself. Boundaries for children are important. They have to learn how to set them by observing you. If you don't set them for them, they can't learn to set them themselves. How many of you reading this relate to this? Did you have a similar experience in your own childhood? Many receptive empaths have. It's important to have these types of experiences in your life in a limited way in order to choose those experiences that feel good and learn when to protect yourself. You need to learn when to stay, when to leave, when to say no, when to say yes. The woman in this example wanted to show off her beautiful little baby to everyone, so she set no boundaries. If this mom had been aware of her child's needs and set boundaries, this could have been a really positive experience. She could have limited the holding to 2 or 3 people, or she could have taken the child back as soon as she saw her beginning to fret. The baby would have learned an early important lesson. It's okay to say no. No is about boundaries, friends. So when initiating anything new in your life, please apply these same principles. These are so easy to see when they're applied to children. That's why I've used them as examples. You set firm boundaries in your own life. Have time limits. Guide, but don't over-control your new things you're giving birth to, except when absolutely necessary. Decide what will be acceptable and what will not be. Boundaries are not carved in stone, folks. They can be made flexible so they can grow with your needs. With firm boundaries in place for anything you're initiating, you will quickly learn when you need to actually apply physical or psychic protection. You won't need to be so overprotective that you suffocate whatever it is you're actually trying to birth. Start playing with boundaries, folks, in your own life. Start with yourself first. See how much better you feel about everything and everyone in your life. I'm Sandy Anastasi, psychic channel, intuitive astrologer, and soul coach. I want to thank you for stopping by and listening to my psychic protection number 57. And I invite you back next month for my next tip. Meanwhile, visit me on my website. I'm at www.sandyanastasi.com. You can find out all about me and my work there. Bye-bye for now.